My parents were probably some of the most generous, unselfish people I've ever known.
My fate just knocked at my door with you.
My parents made sure that we had this fun childhood where sometimes maybe street workers would be working and my mom would say, they're hungry now, why don't we make sandwiches? My dad got orphaned very early, 12 years old, no more parents, so he knew how hard life was. We never turned anyone away. There was one time when we had 15 kids in the house. This was a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house. And I remember there was this one father too whose wife died at childbirth, and he had 6 girls. And he didn't know what to do. And one of them was just a baby. So we ended up taking the baby and one other sister. Well, I was born in the Philippines, grew up there. I came to America in 1979. I teach piano privately. I have kids from age 5 to currently 36 years old is my oldest student. My oldest beginner was 62. Of course, with the more advanced kids, I encourage them to play in church. And I tell the kids, if you have a favorite piece, put that in your list and play it every now and then. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you should be prepared if you're asked to play. I just feel there's something wrong when you've taken lessons for 8 years and they ask you to play and your first excuse is, I don't have a piece because I haven't practiced. I always tell them, please don't tell them who your teacher is when you say that. Part of the reason why we try to think about crazy events that sometimes really have nothing to do with piano is because I think that learning an instrument by itself is already a tedious thing. It takes discipline, and there's just this constant thing about calling attention to detail, and that's hard on kids. And what I've tried to do with my own teaching is try to find something that would inject some kind of joy into what's going on. And one of our more popular events is soup and carols. We do that every year at Christmas. I encourage the kids to make their hats crazy. All these things on the side, on the periphery of piano lessons. Want the kids to discover for themselves how they can make music relevant in their own life. I'm trying to learn to be more impulsive and more intentional about just raising the joy index in somebody's life. And my mom, she was an amazing cook. She could make anything out of anything. I think maybe I observed that and I'm cooking a soup. A soup is not really hard to do. I just end up making a big batch. And I like surprising my friends or people with it. And I did that quite a bit, actually, during COVID times. That they would just have some relief when they got home and that they would feel like somebody was taking care of them for a change. I think it's very comforting. One of the things I've done consistently now for a few years has just been writing letters every day. I just took my address book, bunch of stamps. I did that for a year. I think the first year I did that, I missed 3 days. And it was incredible, really, what happened, how friendships got sparked. I had a friend from New York. I didn't know she had been battling cancer. And I had one other friend who was going through a very ugly divorce, and she had nobody in the area where she lived. So those things opened up other ways for me to hopefully minister in a way that I did not expect.
My fate just knocked at my door with you.
When my husband got sick, I remember my parents, they had food train. I had money even drop just at the mail slot, on the mail slot in our door. There was one time I came home to an envelope of $1,000, but it was cash. No note, nothing. To this day, I don't know who dropped it. My husband had a stroke 4 years ago, and it was a very, very bad stroke. He was paralyzed completely on the right side. His ejection fraction at the time was only 14. And I remember at that time just thinking, dear God, thank you for whatever you're just going to give and whatever you're doing that I don't understand and I don't see. I said, I'll say thank you now because there are days when I won't feel like thanking you for what's going on. I was just so burdened and so stressed about it. And then one of my parents called because the school year was about to start. He said, Auntie, the parents and I have been talking. He says, we think you should have the month off. The thing is, it only took me 5 seconds maybe, and I said no. First, I was concerned about my kids. Kids need to see what we grown-ups do when everything falls apart. So I said, no, I'm gonna teach. And the amazing thing was, when I started teaching, I would have kids drop by, even if it was not their lesson time. They would bring food. Everybody found out what my favorite boba was. I had kids who would stop by, just open the door and say, Auntie, I just wanted to give you a hug. That just got my spirit strong. And I also realized the kids on their own are also learning that these little acts of kindness and caring mean so much to the person who you're doing it to. All they had to say was hi, and it made my day. I don't really have like a lofty definition of what I think my life should be. I just want to be a dispenser of grace when I can, and as much of it, because like I said, I get so much of it every day.
We